Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of LANCESCURV. If you do not see us on any social media and we've been scrubbed or wiped off, you can always come to LANCESCURV.com, LANCESCURV.com. Don't say we didn't tell you, because many people, times that we've been, had community guideline strikes and we were off, they said, I just don't know where to find you. LANCESCURV.com. That's where you'll find us. And that's where you'll find so much more of the work that we've been doing for just short a few months of 23 years. So we've been about it for a long time. The frauds just have to work harder to catch up. Anyway, this is going to be a very abstract piece, episode, segment, whatever you want to call it, because the things that I want to speak about would surely make it where I won't be here anymore on this platform. But I have to thank so many of my family out here for keeping me abreast of what's out there up to the minute. I, for one, can't do it all by myself. I need your help. When you see something, when you hear something, just send it to me. Lance@LANCESCURV.com, or you can hit me on WhatsApp. All the contact information is down below. Welcome, Gifty. Nick, I'm glad you're here. These days, when I get information or when the spirit hits me, I'm just going to come on here and go live or make a recording. If for some reason we blank out here for a second, it might be a temporary power outage. I will come back on the phone. So if you hear silence out of nowhere for a minute or two, just bear with me and stay on. You have to cover all bases. I'm going to speak in a very abstract way today because you have to know that we have this thing called censorship. And with censorship, it's taken to a whole new level. Back in the days, say, for example, let's just go back 60s and 50s and 40s, where things were much more primitive than it is today. So to say, when you compare it, it really is primitive. It wasn't too hard to censor someone. All you had to do is have the local newspapers or news just not talk about it, because people depended on that. They had to go home and put on a television set at a specific time when the news program came on, and their whole world was colored by the imagery of what was then still considered mainstream media. Exactly, Gifty. Code is the only way to speak now. I'm going to put that on the screen so people can see and not forget. Code is the only way to speak now. So I'll be speaking in code. And I'm not speaking to everyone, because there are many of us that refuse to understand the language of code because they're still caught up in that mainstream media, the so-called popular narrative, the thing that they believe in, the thing that's leading them to slaughter in a Pied Piper kind of way. They're walking you along with the narrative that they want you to think. And because many of us in the modern day, we don't want to think anymore. We want somebody else to do it. We don't want anybody. We don't really want to do anything for ourselves anymore. It's too hard. We want to have these apps think for us. We want to make other people think for us. We just want to absorb in a passive way. And we get so caught up in the absorption of this engineered, mind-controlled way of thinking that's given to us, that's tainted. And we know it is, But we accept it because we don't want to think how sad we are. But we don't understand that we have to get back or get on, and I'm speaking to those who are here who are aware, we have to get on that spiritual underground railroad. You remember with Harriet Tubman, how she led some of those who were enslaved to freedom up north. And there were those who didn't like the fact that she was doing this. There were some that tried to stop the operation of what she was doing to bring people to freedom. Did they love the slave master and the plantation that much? Maybe, maybe not. But they didn't want to earn their freedom by working for it, by doing something radical that wasn't too popular. Because the slave master ruled by fear. Now, we don't have a slave master in one form of body to say, well, here he is over there. That's the slave master. The slave master of our minds has infected every area of our existence. So it doesn't have to be one entity, one platform, one thing that we can point to, and it would be obvious. It's in media. It's in our church. It's in our schools. It's in our food. It's hijacked every aspect of our existence. And it makes parts of it sweet. There's sugar in the poison. The poison tastes good. How could it be poison when it tastes so good? 7 deadly sins made to taste so good. So we're not only corrupted mentally, not only corrupted physically, we're corrupted spiritually. We've been lulled back to sleep once again. And when I say back to sleep, what do I mean? We were sleeping before? Oh, we've had our bouts with those who are around us who are sleeping. We know well about this. For the people who came up 400 years plus, some didn't want to leave the plantation. Some, when they were set free, walked a few feet and turned right back around because they knew nothing else. And this is not just about that slavery. This is the global slavery now, which has reached out to people of all ages and races and cultures and ethnicities. But I'm still concerned with my own, as we all should be. When a Chinaman gets information, is he going to share that information first with others? They're going to take care of their own. But see, when I do it, it's reverse racism. It's bad. I'm going to say something in a coded way. You know, Kanye West had some issues with a segment of the population. Remember? And they came after him. He's still around. But those people weren't nowhere to be found when the World Trade Center attacks happened on September 11th, 2001. And the majority of those who occupied that building, their companies were there in different capacities. But not a one of them showed up that morning. They were on code. Did they go and blast this out to the world? No. They didn't give a damn. They were taking care of their own. Am I on code enough? You understand what I'm trying to say, right? Without saying it. Artificial intelligence is on my shoulder. listening to my every word. So I got to be careful on how I convey this. But if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, you can reach out to me at LANCESCURV.com. LANCE@LANCESCURV.com. We're going to be using other platforms to have private conversations that I will share in a semi-public way after the fact, and it won't be here. Underground, I'm used to it. I started out online as an underground political illustrator. And I know now, since my name is in some machine on some list, that I will happily remain underground. I have no delusions of fame, never did, never even tried for that. I was pulled out of a very comfortable place underground. And I know we have to present ourselves a certain way to be appealing somewhat to those who are sleeping so you can reach them. Exactly, Gifty. Thank you so much. If you don't understand, type 2. Number 2. Just type it if you don't understand. Even in the comment section, put number 2. But I'm not going to run after you now. You got to go and ask me. Lance@LANCESCURV.com. That's a very easy email to remember. And remember, there is no E after the V. People, for some reason, put an E after the V, and it won't go through. You're lost then. Sorry, can't help you. Now, I just recently received some information that I won't even drop the link here. That's how gangster I'm going to be on this platform. It's going to be on LANCESCURV.com on the same post that I will make after this show. Not immediately, maybe 15 minutes after, and I'll put all the links there, what you need to see to understand what inspired me to speak on this morning. Now we're going to go more in code. Where did it go? This thing that everybody was talking about. Where did it go? This worldwide thing that had us feeling like boxers. You know, boxers, they have left hooks. They have right crosses. They throw body shots, even uppercuts, sometimes rabbit punches. But most boxers, more or less, throw the jab. They throw left jabs. Southpaws throw right jabs. But all boxers throw jabs. See, they have to take the jab in a fight. If they're elusive enough, they'll take less if they have great defensive skills. But those of us out here, we're not boxers. So we walk right into taking the jab. We don't understand defense and protecting ourselves at all times. So it's said that it's okay to take that punch. It's okay. You'll survive. It will help you. And many of us did. And many of us are not here anymore. Am I talking too much? I didn't say anything that would incriminate me. So since so many of us worldwide, out of nowhere, had to take this punch called the jab, don't you wonder, where did it go? The reason why we had to? Where is it? I'm looking from sea to shining sea, east, west, north, and south, and I can't find it. Oh, they may say in the engineered media news spinning mind control machines that we have a little bit of it over here and a little bit over there. This thing came with such force, like one of those unexpected thunderstorms that feel like a hurricane, and 5 minutes later it's gone. And all you see is the heavy puddles and the roof that's dropping, drip dropping water. And you say, where did that storm come from? And you can hear it off in the distance, the thunder, as it ravages another area. So do you think maybe that there's something more to this than meets the eye? It's like I said before on this banner, and I'm going to remove this scrolly on the bottom. 2020 was merely a dress rehearsal. It was a warm-up. It was to see if every actor had their lines right. You already better had your lines right, but this dress rehearsal was to act out and make sure everything goes smooth, to test the reactions of that audience who was invited to the dress rehearsal so they can give their feedback. But this worldwide global dress rehearsal was to test the waters of the masses, so we can see how they react to being controlled and corralled, intruding on their personal lives and movement. We are truly sheeple, most of us. Not me, and hopefully not anybody who's here in the chat room or listening. But we believed. We didn't question. We opened up our bodies to a sure doom. There's been an increase in, and I'm choosing my words carefully now, in some of us and our peers leaving. They're not here anymore. Why? We all know that transition is inevitable. Do not accept life unless you can accept transition. We understand that on a divine level. But there are those entities who are amongst us, who have great power over us in his hierarchy, that don't want us here because they're envious of who we are. You see, they have to die. I can say that. But if we get back on that spiritual underground railroad, we will only transition. They can only enjoy what's on this level because that's as far as they can go. And they're envious of you because your journey, your infinite journey, and your time on this earth is a mere pit stop to infinity. We will go on, but we have to vibrate high. The only way you're going to be trapped here is if you buy into their doom, their narrative. They know this. They've studied us. And this time around, this boxing match that we're going to get into very soon, where we are expected to take a few jabs, this now will not be a dress rehearsal. This will be the real play. And in this real play, they will not play. There will be things done. There are already things being done right now in secret. As the video said, we're going to have a meeting in May of 2024. And no media outlet will be allowed to speak on this. No radio station, will be allowed to speak on this. No newspaper or magazine will be allowed to even throw a mere hint. No university will be allowed to speak on this in their classes. The professors will shut it down. This is top secret. And you ask yourself, if these leaders and people in high places, and I say high places because that's their hierarchy, it's not mine. I'm free, or as free as I've ever been. I still have an ankle in the system. And I do not want to go back to the burning house where the people in the house couldn't stand me at all. Why would I be a fool to run back to be amongst those and try to save those? We want to work out this plan just for a little while. No, it's a trap, because you don't know who is an agent or not. See, the thing is, when we say the word agent, we think of the men in black. We think of governmental protocol, black suits, generic appearance, clean cut, an agent. But you can be an agent and not even know you are. That is the case most of the time, because most people who are agents for the bigger scheme of things only know the very little part that they have a hand in. They don't know the whole picture. They will never know. Exactly. Gifty. The first time was a sparring match. This will be the real fight. And this will be a very different type of fight, because this fight will be to the death. And the goal of those who have their closed doors meeting, this is what they intend. Because the resources of this rich earth that we are the original grounds keepers and inhabitants and gifted with this planet have to deal with the venom and envy of the Johnny-come-latelys that won't ever leave to the other dimensions. So this is why there's an increase to appeal to you on lower vibrations. There's an increase to keep you trapped in lust, trapped in greed, trapped in materialism, trapped in anger, trapped in frustration, trapped in hopelessness because you desire the things of this world. And if you're not able to get it, you feel you're not truly living. But I always knew, and I realize now, to not have it is true living. They always say the animals in the wild. I got up in the wee hours after I did the show last night, and long before daybreak, and I walked to the rear windows on my top floor, and I looked out, and we're so high up that it's not just fog, it's clouds that we're in. It can be kind of eerie when you're not used to it. Before you go to bed, you see on the other side of the mountain the lights of the houses that are there. And just a mere hour or two later, you see nothing. It's light because it's the clouds, but it's no light coming out of it. It's gray. And on the balcony, there are posts, and there are railings between the posts. And as soon as I got there, 3 birds dropped down, 2 on one post and 1 on the other. And these were pretty big birds. There are not many roofs for them to stand on. and they jump up and down on the roof in the middle of the night, and I've gotten used to the sounds where I thought it was somebody trying to break in. But when I looked at these birds, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I saw them with a smile on their face. But I can understand now, like the inmates that I used to work with in prisons and in jails. They would love to look at the birds because the birds represented freedom to them, because they can fly wherever they want. They didn't have to worry about coming home with groceries to fill an empty refrigerator. They didn't have to worry about the transmission that's failing in their vehicle that they had to pay for and didn't have the money for. They weren't trapped in the hierarchy of this wicked system. So why would they say animals in the wild when we act like animals in a system that is wild? What's civil about us? When you go out to a mall, subconsciously or consciously, you have to wonder and watch everybody around you and wonder, is there going to be a mass shooting here? When you go to a restaurant and eat, and you're the only black person there dining, the only black person there in the whole establishment, in a side of town that's well known for not being so welcoming to you. Nothing happened to you, but you can tell by the looks and the stares that they would rather not have you around. So now you're in this restaurant, and when you get your hamburger, you have to lift it up to make sure that you don't have special sauce in there. 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Remember that from the 70s? There's a lot of times, a lot of us ate a burger that had special sauce of unwanted saliva. We don't know what we've been through, really. We look out, but we don't know the atrocities that have been on us. These people are somewhere. They're all around us, but they hide behind a Colgate smile that we want to believe is sincere, but it's not. Then they want to say that we're paranoid. But after all we've been through, it's not paranoia. It's being on point. It's amazing how we've been lulled back to sleep once again. And we're even in a deeper sleep. Some of us who don't want to face a sad reality will stay in the bed even more to want to stay in their dream state. But the dream state is not reality. You have to face the reality that in 2023, we are perched. We are positioned to go forward into a world that has been tampered with by evil entities in high places in that hierarchy that sadly still has a lot of control because the people in the world have given them control. These few people, if you can line up all of the so-called leaders of the world, how many of them are there? How many of them really have power over us? They don't. They have their minions who are in uniforms that have weaponry and legal in their system rights to make us do maybe what we don't want to do. They do. They can kick in our doors and not have a warrant. And they were trying to pass into law. I heard it didn't make it, but they were saying that they wanted it to be in New York City where they could snatch you and quarantine you if you had some type of ailment, especially the one where you needed the jab. Even if you had Lyme's disease, if you had this or that, they can quarantine you even before it's proven that you had something. Now, you know, New York is very influential on the rest of the country in the United States. And lots of times, as goes New York, so goes the rest of the country. So we have to keep our eyes open for stuff like this, but as long as we have our eyes glued on Sexy Red, Cardi B, Lil Nas X, Saucy Santana, and the foolishness that's put out in the engineered media that's aimed at our subconscious and conscious minds. And we gobble this stuff up because it's sugary, sweet entertainment. But you know, as much as our children love candy, and as much as we've loved candy when we were younger, after a time, we understand that that candy that's so sweet is not giving us any nutrition or sustenance. It's empty, dead calories. Have you ever had the experience of being a child that you had access to all of this candy? It might have been after Halloween. Your parents are gone or they're somewhere else and you got that bag near you and there's so much candy in the bag, you can just take handfuls and handfuls and handfuls until you're full of it and they won't notice it. So here you are, watching your parents in the backyard. They could be sitting down, they could be doing yard work, but you're inside and you got your hand on the candy and you can see them. So you know you won't get busted. Oh boy, this is heaven. But that is the very time that you realize that too much of this sugary sweet substance that has no nutrition will make you feel sick. And for the next few days, you look at that bag and you're like, I don't want that anymore. Made my stomach all messed up, went to school and embarrassed myself and had to come home because I couldn't hold it. Kids were laughing at me. You had that experience. But here we go again, digesting foolishness that's engineered to appeal to us on a lower vibration and keep us there so we don't see what's really going on. And we don't care. We don't care because we're full of all of this foolishness. See, when you're running down the street with a pocket full of money and you drop 25 cents and it's a crowd behind you, but you got a pocket full of money and your bank account is full. You're like, I just dropped 25. I'm not going back for it. But drop 25 cents when all you have is 50 cents and that's half of what you have. You're going to get down on your knees, you're going to bump into people, and you're going to pick that quarter up because that's all you have. That's the mentality that we need to have for real information that will affect our lives, because decisions are being made right now that will manifest in months or years. And we'll find ourselves in a place of no return. You see this banner here that I put up? It's a photo that illustrates lots of grief, unexpected pain, and shock of people who were not ready for the aggressions of 911 that day. And that's what that photo's from. But I thought it clearly illustrated how we'll be snapped up out of sleep and realize that there's no return. See, have you ever slept so deep and you were getting down in it and you completely forgot that you had to get up to go to work the next day? And actually, you went to bed 2.5 hours before that alarm clock went off. And you hear it. They make the sound so piercing. And you open your eyes wide, but you don't see anything yet. You're shocked back into the reality of what you have to do to maintain your life. And you regret it. You're angry. God, oh, just getting into a good dream, just getting into a good sleep. And look at me, I got to get up. Shoot, I should call. Oh, I can't call out. I got that bill to pay in 2 weeks. If I miss one day of working, I won't have enough money. Many of us are living on edge like that. But because we're around in an atmosphere that's dangling various carrots in front of our face to make us feel that, yes, I'm going to make it one day. Of course you need their money in their system, but do you need their money when you're not in their system? But it's too sweet like that candy. And you don't want to leave their system. You want to, but the amenities are too sweet. The perks are too sweet. But it's a sweetness that will kill you. It's a sweetness that gives you no spiritual nutrition. But you decide to stay. You see, they will do anything to put fear in your heart, to run you back into the system. How many times have you parked down the block? Not too far, but not too close. And you have to leave from where you are. There's obligations that you have, meetings, a job, and you're getting ready to go. And all of a sudden you hear this lightning strike. Boom! But you look out the window, you say, it's not raining. It's sunny outside. But go to the other side of the house where it's facing the other way where the clouds are coming. And you see a menacingly dark sky. And it's right up on you. And you go back to the first window and now you don't see the sun anymore. But you have to leave in 2 minutes. And so the big heavy drops start coming. You say, I'm going to get out of here and get to my car before it really comes down. So you run out to the gate or just to the sidewalk and you hear it, boom, and you run back to the door. See, they do things to scare you, to control you. You're not a boxer, but you took the jab. And for a while, I can say this, the borders were locked down. They want to keep you where you are. They don't want you escaping the areas that you want to escape from. If you're somewhere else already and you're happy where you are, and it's not so much of a target as other places in the world, you're happy to stay, even if you don't have all of the amenities that you had in that targeted area. So now the powers that be that work along with the media, they own the media damn near. All of these different factions, they all work together, but they act like they don't. So here you go. Oh, I heard on the news, like a damn fool. I heard on the news that it's okay to be like that boxer and take the jab. Why? Because the news said so? They're your enemy and they're going to tell you something. You're going to believe it? And you refuse to think and research for yourself? It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you. Just sock it to me. Go ahead. You got free will. But do we really utilize free will to research and to understand things? Don't you know They will do things. Another example, real quick. The mother wants the son to come in from the backyard. It's been dark, but he wants to be out there. And so she calls to him and says, listen, little Johnny, it's time to come in and eat your dinner. Mommy, I want to stay out here and play a little longer. And she's wrestled with him time after time with this, where he almost refused to come in. So since she knows his psychological state when it comes to certain things, she decides to be very shrewd in how she deals with this, because she's going to get the results that she wants to get him inside the first time. So instead of haggling with him for the next 20 minutes and he'll eventually come in, the first time she wants him to come in, she'll use reverse psychology. Little Johnny, I don't mind if you stay out for another hour or maybe even 2. And he's so happy. Yes, mommy, I want to stay out here and play. I have no problem with that. But there's a green-eyed monster that comes around when it gets dark, and it's been known to swallow up little boys to where they're never seen again. But it's okay. I know and I trust your instincts. Stay out and play as long as you want. Mommy, the green-eyed monster, I'm coming in. I don't want the green-eyed monster to get me. And that's us. They use their mainstream so-called platforms. We make it mainstream because all of us are watching it. And I'm not going to say there's no truth to what they say, but it's always slanted to get a result, to get you not to want to be out in the backyard. They got no power over you, but they psych your mind. And you walking around here arguing over politics. Well, I'm a Democrat and I'm a Republican. And you go all out for these people who are in bed with each other, and oftentimes literally. You think half of these male politicians are straight just because they got a wife? And they're playing the game on you. You watch college wrestling, and that's the real wrestling. But you watch this other stuff that's staged, and you think these guys on the opposing sides hate each other? But after the match, you go to the local Denny's or IHOP, and you might see them laughing together and eating together. All the blood that came out of a false wound on one of those wrestlers, you don't see no blood. You don't see any bandages because it was fake. I can't say FAKE news. AI is on my shoulder, and they're watching me hard, like those white police tailgating me a foot behind my vehicle as I drive through an affluent white neighborhood. They're on my ass. So I have to speak in a coded way, like I mentioned in the beginning of this program. And that's how it is in our world. On a spiritual level, when they know that you're aware, they're on you more. You're a threat. You better not come on social media and start talking that junk to get other people hip to what's going on. And again, like I said earlier, they will use fear. They always do that. They always tell you about their version of the green-eyed monster in the backyard to make you run inside or run back to them. The propaganda. Look at the propaganda about Africa. Oh, there's hungry babies there. There's no food. Really? With all of the open land with mangoes and watermelons and papayas and what? And we're talking free food. Now, when you go into the inner cities, the bigger cities, it's the same thing like the West. But the further out you move, it's a whole different ballgame. But can you handle that? Can you handle having to fend for yourself to go even pick your own fruit that's non-GMO? Wouldn't that be nice? But if you go so far out where you don't have a cell phone signal, can you live without your thumb exercising all day looking at TikTok shorts? You'll be forced to look within yourself and deal with yourself spiritually. And you'll understand that, wait a second, I'm detoxing from this toxic stuff that I was born into or thought was the epitome of existence. You'll vibrate on a real level. And when you inhale, you'll know what it's like to enjoy real air. When you eat real food, you can feel the nutrition coursing through your veins. When you sleep without all of the artificial noise, you'll go to deeper levels of REM sleep unknown and untouched in your life. And when you wake up, you feel as though you took a journey because you did in the spirit realm. You are allowed to go deeper, but they want to scare you now. Not only that, they want to control you. Let's imagine a scenario. I'm making this up, but I'm painting a picture to show you how devious they could be to use fear to keep you in a certain place, physically and in your state of mind. Let's say, for example, that they use the news now. We know the climate all over the world. We understand now that most of the world does not like the United States. Most of the world is prepared to deal with that former bully who did at one time have much power, but now things have evened out. And with the numbers of people who have superpower in the world in their own countries and their own resources, they ain't afraid of you no more. You ever see somebody who was big and strong when you were a child and had big muscles? You were a little boy, a little girl said, oh, man. And that person wasn't friendly, but they were looking kind of scary. And you looked at them and you said, I wouldn't want to have to fight that person. They'd probably squash me. And then you move away from the neighborhood and you come back, say 30 years later. And you're walking down the street and you see somebody that looks familiar. And you say, I kind of remember that person. See, you're back in the old neighborhood. And most people have either transitioned or moved away, or some are still there. But this person, you say, wait, I know this person. And the person next to you who didn't move away, who you're talking to, they say, remember that old guy, that big, strong guy with all those muscles who looked so mean that you were scared of? That's him. You're like, what? I'd smack the taste out of his mouth right now. And that's how it is. But in the mind of that older man who used to be big and strong, he thinks he's still that way. He's lied to himself. Things are different now. Those little boys who he took joy in intimidating, I'm not afraid of him no more. And that's like America. America is like that guy years ago who had the world shaking in their boots. And they realized, wait a second, we got nukes too. We got technology too. We got resources too. And as a matter of fact, we need to get together and form our own way of money and dealing and having a standard of money outside the former bully, because he doesn't have any power anymore. And when he did, he didn't treat us right. Hence the BRICS nations. The BRICS nations. Do you know what's going on with that? Many of us don't. You got Russia and China and was it Pakistan, India? Well, just not BRIC with a K, BRICS, BRICS nations. So now, like a balloon that was still hanging up in your living room for when you had a birthday party 2 weeks ago, it's not as full as it used to be. It's becoming deflated. Air is seeping out. And as far as the United States is concerned, power is seeping out. So they push their propaganda as though they're still that almighty, youthful country that was so strong over everybody, but they're lying to themselves. Just like that middle-aged man who who doesn't perform like he used to, but he still wants to have the look of it. So he takes a little hair dye to cover up the gray and gets a little plastic surgery and takes some testosterone replacement therapy so he can feel the rush of youth in his ever-aging body. But he's lying to himself because all he's doing is postponing the inevitable. You ain't stopping nothing. Your decline is fixed now. You see it, but you want to go out screaming. And internally, that old man's organs, the heart, the liver, the lungs, they're beginning to fail. Well, internally, the financial systems of America and their dealings and how they used to commandeer power all over the world is failing and on its way out. I love America, the land. I love America, my people who are there, but I can't stand the system of America. I don't like it. I'm an American, can't help that on paper, but am I really? On paper, that's what they call me in their legalities and systems of clarification and classification. But am I that? No. And when I was there, I was never made to really feel at home. So now that many people have said, go back to Africa, and I'm here, why you got a problem with it now? That all the nukes are pointed your way. That you got people having behind closed doors meetings to reduce how many of us are on the earth. The food that's not food that they're feeding us. Well, we don't even know what's in the water. They're feminizing our youth. We don't know when people throw away their psych meds and it recirculates back into the water that we drink or we have to use, even if we don't drink it. Well, I drink spring water, and here's the plastic container that it's in. And yeah, you're ingesting plastic that's messing with your hormones. And even if you wash with this water, that's recirculated. And they say, well, they clear it of all bacteria. But what about the chemicals? What about the psych meds that are in that water that you're absorbing in your skin? The uppers, the downers, all different types of chemicals that when they bind together, they become something else. And you wonder why they have more of a diagnosis of bipolarism now. Because of all the soul ties and all the chemicals and all the people that we're connected to. And like I said yesterday, I found out that the cortisol, the hormone cortisol, the stress hormone, you can be near somebody who has an abundance of this because they're stressed and it could transfer to you. If you're around them enough, you don't even have to touch them. So look at that. That's a physical thing. What about the spiritual? That can transfer even more. You hang around certain people, certain things going to get in you. You don't have to believe that. But if it can happen in the physical, it damn sure is going to happen in the spiritual. So when you make your move or plan on making your move, you can't tell everybody what you're going to do. Because here they come with their fear. Are you sure you want to do that? Are you going to have enough money out there where you are? Well, do you want to die? You're so fearful of that. So now we're so gullible, piped into this mainstream media. All of a sudden, the powers that be say, hey, we don't have to fight with people. We'll just tell them about that green-eyed monster in the backyard and they'll come running exactly where we want to go. If that mother wanted that child to come in and say, well, if the green-eyed monster's out there and he's trying to get you, the only way you can be safe is to run inside the house and go in your bedroom and put your pajamas on and get under them covers, because she really wanted him to go to bed anyway. So when they want us now at the mercy of what they say is safe, say they want to lock down the planet. This is a time of war and rumors of war, we walking around more jacked up, and certain things haven't happened in America yet. But the looming storm of war has us all grabbing for our umbrellas. So now let's use our imaginations. Because if you ask me, this thing called artificial intelligence that can construct scenarios that you can see, but you say to yourself, well, you know, that's computer generated. This is the movies. They've been practicing. They've been practicing to make things more and more realistic. So say, for example, there's an airplane full of passengers, and it's bound for America or leaving America. We're just using our imagination to put our thinking caps in. Let me sit down over here. Excuse me for 1 second. I want to take a sip of water. Here it is. I'm not mad at you. Be encouraged. I'm used to it, and I do understand. I understand. He said, for years, I thought you was off your rocker, Lance, but now everything is starting to come full circle, sir. And I accept your apology. I must apologize indeed. And again, I never spoke in a way where I thought that I knew everything. I still say right now, I don't know everything. But I'm connected enough to things outside of the system where I pick up signals now and then. We get downloads of where to go. It's the same thing that signals the birds when they're up north in America to fly south. I spoke of how it's confirmed, and I discovered this, how the ants can talk to certain funguses, not talk, but they can communicate. There's means of communication that we don't even know about in nature, and man has emulated that. I like that comment though, for real. I'm gonna put it back up for all the other people who think I'm nuts, because I don't really try hard to convince anybody anything, and I don't know everything. Maybe, let's say I was 51% correct in something that I described in a shadowy way. I'm not here to be right. I'm not here to say I can't accept correction, and there are things that I said that were off, but I think that I was more on than off. You see? So we have this plane. Let's say it's leaving America, and it's on one of the major airlines. I've been out of there so long, I can't even let's just say Delta, right? Let's just say Delta. And the plane flight is going out as usual. And it gets over the Atlantic Ocean and say it's heading toward Europe. And all of a sudden, a missile comes out of nowhere and splits the plane in two, and it blows up. It blows up to the point where there's nothing left by the time the shards and residue and parts of the plane come down because it burned up. Now, breaking news on your internet, on your phone, on your computer, on the television set, your next door neighbor, that numb feeling that happened to us when we found out about 911. And we didn't know what it was about. And we all remember, if we're old enough, because if you're 20 years old, you weren't born yet. And it was a while ago. But because of that feeling, it felt like yesterday. With all of the major things that happen in our life, it's always that thing where you can remember it so well and where you were. So now this plane is shot down and we don't know why. We're glued to the news. We're glued to the internet. And we find out that it was the workings of another country. And so you know now that is on and popping. World War III is in full effect. They locked the borders down. We can't leave the country. Everywhere is on high alert. They're talking to us on the news about the potential of sleeper cells. So we don't go to the malls anymore. We don't go to public places. People are walking around with their guns, and at the first sign of what they think is danger, they shoot out. Martial law is introduced, but it's still not enough because there's more of us than there is them. It's total mayhem. You can only go to shop in the supermarket in a 2-hour period with heavily armed people around. It's a whole other atmosphere. Now you hear in the news that what we dealt with in 2020 is coming back strong. Oh no, we got to deal with that too? People who have visited the United States can't go home. People who left the United States can't go back. The borders are closed indefinitely. Reports say that we know for sure that for the next 4 years, with the intel that we have, we know for sure, don't even think about considering the borders being open. We have American citizens in other countries that don't have the money. The financial system has collapsed. You can only draw out but so much money out of the bank, $35 a day, which is not enough when you really look at it. You have to park your car. Your job is not a job no more because it went out of business. You can order things limited, but the system has died. Food, where are you going to get it from? The supermarkets are empty. Cops are not even showing up to work because they want to stay home to protect their families. What are you going to do? Now you have to wear the mask. And for you to draw out your money every day, if you can and if you want to brave it, you're going to have to take the jab, a stronger jab, a more lethal jab, because what's out there now is not like the dress rehearsal in 2020. What's out there now, they say you'll drop down and be out of here within a week. So we're numbed with fear. People just on the news and the atmosphere alone are breaking down and leaving out of here. Heart attacks, strokes. People are dying from being malnourished. This is engineered. So let's say that plane that got shot down. See, we're talking some fictional stuff that can be very much be real. The plane that was shot down was really a cargo plane that was painted up and made to look like a passenger plane. And it was flown in a remote control manner. There were no people on it. There never were people on it. This was engineered so they can have some real clear video of that missile shooting it down. That was a domestic missile. It didn't come from another country. And the other country that they're blaming, saying it's not us, now they become the enemy. And so now on the streets of America, those who are from that country are getting beat down. Confrontations, getting shot. They're now the enemy. This is where they want you. Why? Because they can control you. And they will do anything in their power to get you in that place. But if you're growing your own food away from the epicenter of these bigger cities and even in that country, how are they going to stop? You eating a mango and you way out in West Africa where there are no cell phone signals, where you have a small structure where possibly there's a couple of cinder blocks and there's 2 rooms and you got to light your fire with a match to cook your food. And before, I don't want to be out there. It's too primitive. Now we have all the modern amenities out here. Electricity, running water, we have all of that. My videos have proved that and will prove that. There's some luxurious places out here that many Americans can't afford. It's all here. I've seen more Lamborghinis and Mercedes-Benz trucks and Bentleys out here than I've seen in America. I don't see the drug usage, but I'm quite sure it's here. But it's not the same as in America. See, we've been hollowed out in America, set up for the kill. Folks, homeless, some drug addicted out there. People who are just out of their mind. It's no fault of their own, but they can't take it no more with the slow burn. And so now we have all of this going on, and so many people are pushed over the edge. Little girls and little boys telling their father, "Daddy, I'm hungry. We haven't eaten in 2 days. I'm hungry." And you know when the little child is hungry, it hits them even more. And the father looks down and says, "Oh, hell no. I'm going to find some food." And you go to the supermarket with your gun and it's empty. But you're walking down the street and don't know what to do. And you could smell food somewhere. And there's a home over there and they're cooking food. You kick the door down with your gun. They say, "Hey, please take all the money that we have." It's not money that you want. You want to feed your children. You think that it can't happen? So the news is blasting the imagery of this plane that killed all of these passengers. Right? So now, there are no passengers, but they gather the records of people who recently passed away and say that they were on that plane. For the masses of people to say, yeah, they died on it. And the families who are related to those people get paid off to be quiet. You see your grandfather that died 2 weeks ago? He had a heart attack. Well, guess what? We're going to pay you $10,000 to use his image to say he was on that plane. They take care of everything. They dot every I and cross every T. And that's just one of the implications of war. You kill a few, you get a big result. They don't care about human life. You think your country cares about human life? The people in charge want to maintain control. And there's too many of us, and they have to get rid of us. Hence the meeting that they're going to have in May of 2024. I will embed that link on LANCESCURV.com after this show is over so you can listen to it and make your own or come to your own conclusion. That's what you have to do. Because you can't really have a conversation because most people have been lulled back to sleep once again. We're walking around even more stupid. I'm going to say it, and I'm not saying it in a condescending way. I'm saying it in a loving way because we have become so stupid. Stupid. We didn't learn. And it's that time we're in our deepest sleep when the burglar slips in to do what he has to do and catch us with our pants down symbolically. I'm not even going to ask anymore, when are we going to wake up? If you sleep, enjoy it. Get all down in the pillow. Hump all over the mattress. Whatever kind of dream you're having, enjoy it. But there's going to come that time when you're going to be forced to wake up. And when you wake up, you're going to realize that you trusted in a system that had no love for you, that you had to look out for yourself. But did you? I'm not saying you had to buy out everything in the supermarket and store up all this food, but just prepare a little bit. You don't have to be a nutcase. You don't have to be somebody who's an extremist, but maybe it wouldn't be bad to be that right now in these days. Maybe way back, some people just had mental issues, but come on now. Look at 911. That was somewhat of a dress rehearsal, and you got to understand, okay? That has a lot of effect on today. That was part of what was going on back then. What was it, 22 years ago? 22 years ago. This is November now. September 2023 in September 2000 or 2001, 22 years and 2 months. See, let's go to something else before I wrap it down to make a point on this. You know, when you gentrify a neighborhood, they don't just all of a sudden put out an announcement. They never put out we're gentrifying the neighborhood. You can see the signs. Let's go extreme. When you see a Starbucks in the hood, you know it won't be too long. When you see a frail, elderly white woman walking her poodle through the hood, you know that it won't be too long. When they gentrify a neighborhood, they just don't do it overnight. Sometimes the gentrification process can take 20 years plus. It's a gradual thing. It happens so slow that many of us don't even realize it. I remember when I was driving the bus in Central Florida in Orlando, and I was telling people this Paramore area is beginning to be gentrified. Hey, man, ain't no gentrification going on. You know, just because you see a few white people, man, you can't let that happen. Man, and see, let me tell you something. They had that Mayor Buddy Dyer. He's still mayor. He's like a mayor for life in Orlando. And I found it funny that as police brutality in that area increased, because I see it. You see, just because it's not on the news doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Yep, Bernadine Madison. I take my hat off to you. Even though I'm not wearing a hat, I take my hat off to you. She says, I'm 74 years old and I've been telling people something is getting ready to happen. They are planning as we sleep. I love you, Bernadine, for just saying that alone. You're my family just from saying that alone. We're kindred spirits just for saying that alone. And any differences we have, I'll tolerate it, because if you can say this, and you may have a few chronological years over my 60 years, but I'm right there with you. I love you. Thank you. Keep telling the people what the deal is. Even if we don't know exactly what it is, you could sense it. You could sense it. Now those same people who told me the Paramore area was not going to be gentrified, half of them didn't even know what the word was. They're now on the outs. And the neighborhood is looking so nice. There's still parts that are not gentrified. But they could have done different when they were there, but they were told that it was the hood, and it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. They went along with it. So now we back this up now on a bigger level. Basically, when they plan over time. 911 was a test, a deadly test. Slowly to corral your minds a certain way. Now you know it can happen. When it happens again, it may not happen with a plane flying into a building. It may happen with what we went through in 2020 on up. The other way may be something else. It may be a cyber attack where your internet doesn't work. It may be where the electric grid is down and you have no electricity. If you have no electricity, a whole lot of bad things can happen. We don't know, but we know it's coming because they're hell-bent on having control over us. See? And going back to the gentrification, I want to make another point. The police brutality was increasing, and the locking up of our young men and young women increased, giving them a record that they couldn't find gainful employment unless they went to do something of their own that they didn't even know how to do. So they went back to selling drugs. So they couldn't really look to buy property or inherit. They can inherit it, but how are they going to maintain it with no money? You see, they put us in a state of an induced coma. We're comatose. We're induced into this. And we don't even know it, because while we're in the coma, we're in a very comfortable bed. While we're in a coma, we have the intravenous nutrition being pumped in our veins. We don't have to do a damn thing. How are you, Joy? Armani Laws, Matthew White, Bernadine Madison, NFN Shaka, Tanya Kier, Gifty Sine. Just thought I'd acknowledge you. I wasn't ignoring you. You know, when I get on my flow, I'm in a different world. I ain't in the Twilight Zone, but on a different vibe. Don't waste your time, people, arguing about these things. Follow your instincts. When you see a bunch of birds on a tree, and they all understand they have to get up and fly, and say a few of them don't understand this and they don't catch the signal from within, and half of them fly away, well, they'll go behind them other ones because they know, hey, don't leave me. But you have to plan while you can, because time is running short. And we're not saying this in the way that Christians say, well, you better get ready because Jesus is coming. Really? When your grandmama said this and your great-great-grandmama said this, oh, come on, man. What is it that we have to do? Because a lot of us are waiting for something to bust into the skies and save us. And we don't have to do anything. No, we're here to do stuff. We're here to elevate. We're here to build. We're here to take care of each other. But we ain't been doing that. We've been hating each other. We hate each other because of materialism. We hate each other because we want the next woman, the next woman's husband, or the next husband's wife. You want everything like a pig. Nose down in the mud, gossiping, thinking on a low vibration, and your doom is being plotted and planned right now as we speak. And when that happens, and some photographer from a distance snaps pictures, will it be you in the next banner that I make when I make a show like this in a few short months, or maybe a year, maybe 5 years? I don't know, but something is coming. When you look at the instructions on the side of a box, a pasta box, and you know, it, depending on the thickness of the pasta, more or less, you have to let it cook or boil longer or less. The thick spaghetti that we eat has to stay in a little longer than the angel hair pasta, because the angel hair pasta is thinner, so it takes a shorter time to boil. So we know we're going to get the meal. We know we're going to see these things happen and come to pass. So we have to keep eyeballing it. We can't tell you no exact date. We can tell you what we know when they say they're going to have a closed door meeting, when no university can talk about it, when no radio station can play it, when no magazine or newspaper can print it, or no so-called mainstream media platform can speak about it. So that's telling you, you need to have the heads up. Start now. Yes, joy. They like to see us suffering. They draw strength from that. They're sadistic. They get off on that. They want to see us cry. They want to see us suffer before the kill. They just don't want to lead us. They want to revel in the thing. It's almost a sexual thing. Oh, yeah, look at you. Oh, you're suffering. Look at your pain, the crying. Look at you. You're hungry. Oh, I'm going to get that thing. You see what I mean? Oh, yes. Thank you, Brother Akata. And the Black Unicorn, I spoke with her 2 days ago. I have to speak with her today to continue our conversation. Yes, those of us who understand, we have to stick together. Those of us out here for ego. Yes, go to Black Unicorn Lazia 75 and subscribe to her channel. That's my sister here in Ghana. She's from Chicago. I'm from New York. We're cousins in that respect. And she always keeps it real. And she don't mess with everybody. I'm glad she gets down with me. That's one of the biggest compliments that I can get, because she does not play. And I've learned to be a little more like her, following her example. If you ain't right, and you come with some crap or some drama, she ain't got no time for you. And I'm the same way too, more and more. Because every day that we live is a gift. And this system and the people in it don't want us to have that peace, the natural peace that is ours. The real communities, the societies that operate on divine law. We're not talking religion, we're talking divine law. We're not talking that foolishness with the man-made religion of we got to wait for some white Jesus to come through the sky. If he came to the sky as a white Jesus, he's going to take care of the white neighborhoods first. You know I'm stupid like that. I'm going to say them things. But I'm going to be doing videos like this as things move on. But I said the videos that were forwarded to me, I'm not even going to drop the links here. Because there are a lot of people who will report you, oh, he's talking that stuff again. Well, hell, what are you doing here if you don't like the stuff that I talk? I'm already shadow banned. Cool. I don't care if I don't get 1 million hits on here. I'm going to be the first guy to get negative 134 hits on the video. I don't care. As long as there's a few of us here, I'm good, because it's a body of work that will go up on other platforms. We're going to ride out here as long as we can, but when we gone, it ain't stopping nothing. If I got to go in the corner with a bullhorn and I see something of note, not just to hear myself talk, no, because I know when to shut up. And the real deal with me is that most of the day, I'm quiet. I'm not talking. I got lots of meditation to do today. Lots of it. To think, to ponder, to compare, to weigh things out. And if I can't come up with anything to share with you, I'm not coming here at all. I could have waited to prime time and when more people are online. No. I've been on here for 1 hour and 23 minutes. I started at 9:15, which in actuality, going back 5 hours to the East Coast, this show started at 4:15. Most people on the East Coast ain't up at 4:15. I don't care. I'm going to put it out. This is not even a business. This is just me talking to my people. Who wants to listen? Let them listen. Who wants to come on? You got something to share? Hit me up. The contact information will scroll down below eventually. We're in a huddle and we're discussing our strategy in this game that's being played on us. But you better be willing to let go of the amenities that you think you can't let go of. You better be ready to let go of certain people who just want to stay in Babylon. If they stay, and if you stay, make sure that you do the best to preserve yourself. Everybody can't go. I understand that. But if you stay, don't have Babylon in your mind. In your mind, body, and soul controlling you. Free yourself. It's the best way to be. You know, these next few years, I'm not a doomsayer. But when we say the good old days, it's really going to be what we think about those times. Because we're losing freedoms. We're losing that energy, that high vibration. It's a movement in fear. Walking in fear. I refuse to be anywhere where I have to walk in fear. I'm not going to be there. I'd rather be barefoot. I'd rather be catching rainwater. Even when the stuff comes out here, as far as their control and what they do, because they come with them needles out here too. They're going to have to find me. They put their hand on me. I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to live. My Creator put me here for a purpose, and I'm going to fulfill that purpose. If the purpose of a person is diametrically opposed to mine, we got problems. Because I'm a one-man army, and I don't know how to take a step back. Only in strategy to retreat for a moment to win that battle and eventually win the war. But you don't have my mind. You don't have my soul. You're not going to kill my spirit. You're not going to control my emotions. I control that. My body is my body, and you can't tell me, no matter how many closed-door meetings that you have, that you're going to do with me what you want to do with me. What are you my pimp? You going to smack me up? You going to pimp smack me and make me do whatever? Whatever you bring to me, I'm going to give back to you tenfold, and I don't care, because I am conditioning my mind right now for many things. I'm conditioning my mind right now that there are people that I love that I may not even see again or see anymore. I understand that we transition at different levels. I know that everything is going to be all right. But right now, this life has been like a credit card. You get all the goodies up front. But when that bill comes in, you have to pay for it. And it's unfortunate we have to pay a bill in a system that we shouldn't have been in the first place. You see? Beautiful thing, Joy. I'm glad you're thinking that way. And you even have to be careful on where you come out here. You have to be careful on who you talk to out here. You know? Every brother ain't a brother. Like Chuck D said, we're welcome to the Terror Dome. Some of these people will sell you out quick. Right now, I have my internet family here, those who I've met in person, those who I haven't, but I love you all the same if I didn't meet you, because we have the same spirit and I still feel your vibration. But other than that, and the few that I know in person, face to face, I'm going to have to prepare to not see certain ones ever again. And it saddens me. I'm not going to lie. Not out of weakness, but in my letting go of them out of my life, I will shed tears sometime in the middle of the night. It's just me adjusting myself. It's not that I'm crying as a weak man. It's just emotional sweat, because I'm going through the exercises emotionally of getting myself emotionally fit, mentally fit, spiritually fit, and physically fit. Because I am my Savior. Yes, we have the Creator, but He's put seeds of greatness inside of us and instructions inside of us that when you see this, this is what you have to do. Just like when you tell your child, if a stranger comes up to you in a car and has candy in your hand, you go the other way. You don't deal with that. So we are programmed, but the programming has been meddled with under our mental hoods. So we trust the one who oppresses us and wants us gone off the earth. We walk to that stranger. Their face might be familiar, but they're a stranger on the inside, because we have so many shapeshifters amongst us. Our own family can be shapeshifters where we think that they're a certain way, but they're sold out. Like Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. When you see these ghouls coming at you, you better put a bullet between their eyes. Just like in the movie. What if that ghoul, who is not your mother or your father or your sister or your brother or your children anymore, but their bodies have been possessed by this ghoulish spirit and they're coming to do you harm? Do you get emotional because you see that facade? But that's my daughter. Oh, I can't do this. Ain't your daughter no more? You want your life? You have one life. You don't have other people's lives. Say, well, I can just spend time out of their lives. They're going to live for another 50 years. Well, I got, no, you don't. They got theirs and you got yours. Yes, you're right, Joy. Here it is. If they can betray you and sell you out, you don't need them around. That's why there's certain individuals, I don't want them around me when they come with that foolishness. Yes, we got to be very careful. I had to let a lot of people go. Loyalty is very important to me. Yes, loyalty. That's not anything that clicks on and off at will. That's very much a real thing. I just have to say, I'm going to wrap it down now. I'll be back very soon. Very, very soon. You think I'm going to just do one a day unless something comes up that I have to, and I always make up. But I want to keep it dealing with reality, human nature, the real stuff. You know, a comment was made where I had a banner with P. Diddy and R. Kelly on it, and the person said, well, I can't listen to this because I don't deal with Hollywood celebrity. And no, but see, if you see something on the banner, you know I'm going to talk about it in a way where we're proving a point. You'll see all kind of banners and all kind of titles, but it's going to come around to something righteous. Understand that. I thought people understood that about me. So I don't care if you see a porn star on one of my banners and a title pointing toward that. There's something righteous in the content. I may deliver it in a comical way. I may deliver it in an angry way. I might be zoned out and talking abstract. But whatever, if you're vibrating on a certain level, you'll understand that I'm coming with something worthwhile to digest. Like I always say, and I'm going to say this before I go. Can you remember the time when your favorite food wasn't something that was your favorite food? You had to be encouraged to take a bite, or you stumbled upon it by mistake, sitting around the table, and people, come on, try this out. I don't want that. I don't want to eat that. That looks nasty. No, just take a bite. Come on. No, just take one bite. You might like it. Okay, I'm going to take a bite just to shut y'all up. And you take that bite and you're chewing it. And you're looking, this new flavor flooding your taste buds. You're like, wait, let me get another piece of that. It tastes pretty good. Oh my God, I like this. Why didn't you tell me about this before? You order something to take home. They're not even coming to that restaurant for 2 weeks, but you back the next day. There's a time when your favorite food wasn't even on your radar. So we have to understand that we have to expand our minds, not for foolishness, but to look at a different perspective. And that's what I like to try to do here. I'm not going to be a talking head and just rattle off the same things that people talk about. Lance, the story is burning up the internet. It's gone viral. Why haven't you talked about it? Because everybody talked about every point. I don't see anything in it that I can say that's different. I'm not going to be a YouTube talking head. Like I was speaking to one of my sisters the other night. I said, this is not even my forte, YouTube. YouTube came out in 2005, and I was known for my art and my writing. Black Planet, I had 352,000 followers before I killed that page because it turned into a booty call site. I should have kept the page for the sheer numbers of distribution. But those who've been rocking with me all these decades and all these years, you know. You understand? So this is my weak hand, this social media YouTube thing. My strong hand is my artwork and my ability to write my articles. But to promote, and this is where everybody is, fine, I'll do it. No problem. I like to talk. Y'all know that. Damn, that brother can talk. But listen, as long as I have something to say, it's not just midnight psychobabble just to hear myself talk without backing it up, because we've been doing this for years, not even just on this platform, but multiple mediums for a long time. I don't have to put on a costume to fool you and say that I'm an African and get an ankh and get kente cloth and get a cap and just, no. And my personal life is all messed up and I'm trying to front because I'm narcissistic and want attention. Get the hell out of here. Y'all know my life. If you're new here and you don't, ask somebody. I've been very transparent to make sure you know I'm not a fraud and I ain't perfect. I got a temper sometime. I'm too nice sometime. I'm flawed like anybody else. But at least I know what my flaws are. And I know how to protect myself from myself as time goes on. Because we have enemies out here who will try to exploit our weak points, which are not really weak. They just need work. You see? Wow. Let me just run this line up. Did you hear about the son who beat and raped her mother in Atlanta? God, or his mother. So true, no matter who they are to you, if they come in to hurt you, you got to defend yourself. You're damn right. Exactly. This spirit can jump and come after you, and you're sitting here thinking, that's my little baby, or that's my wife, or that's my... Shoot. We don't know who's who these days. Bernadine Madison said 60 years ago in the South, I used to see my uncles and fathers start cleaning guns when they started coming for us. Now I don't see that bond. My grandfather was a fearless man. Yes, we had real men back there, Bernadine Madison. I'm not saying all of them are punks, but we have a higher concentration of punks and punks who try to act like real men. And when stuff goes down, they running. I don't know what kind of world we living in. My father was a real man. That's what I know growing up. I can't follow anybody else's narrative. And this is why the social media and these videos and these Saucy Santana and Lil Nas X and Rainbow Foolishness and black men have a post to stand on, and we have to man our post, and we're punking out, encouraging us to put on lip gloss and wearing dresses. What kind of mess is that? Because we're fearing what's coming, and we've been made to be punks. So when you're a real man, it's illegal. Black manhood is illegal. We vibrate at the highest when we're vibrating at the highest, but they want to keep us low so that the other weak vibration can be over us because we are so low. You see? Fearless, willing to sacrifice, willing to let go, willing to go to war. A damn shame we go to war for our own enemy and don't even have rights where we live. Can't stand as men where we live. But they quickly use us to be on the front lines of their war while their families are safe at home. They can't even give us reparations. They can't even really compensate those who go out to war for them, coming back injured, physically, injured, mentally, and broken spiritually. And they give you a little check. And when you go to the VA to get some kind of help, you got to fill out all this paperwork and run you through the gamut because they don't want to do anything. But they quickly utilize your body to put you on the front lines. My father told me, don't you ever, I'm not knocking people who have, but he said, don't you ever put yourself in that position, especially since I taught you what the deal is. And even though I had my period of many girlfriends back when I was in my 20s, yes, I was something else for a little while. I never forgot what my father taught me. So as I got older and came into my senses to leave certain things alone, that I'd be able to survive. Because he knew, and my mother knew. My mother used to tell me, son, I know what you're going to have to go through in this world. I'm not jealous of you at all. I'll probably be out of here by that time. But you can't forget certain things, and you have to be strong. And the only way to be strong is to stay rooted in divine law. Never forget that. And I walk with them. And the things that they told me reverberate in my head every single day. And we're not going to be here forever. But in that time, whether people say there's a judgment or not, there will be an assessment. And when my assessment comes, I tell you one thing, it ain't going to be where they assess me as a punk on this level. I'm going to let y'all go now. I will be back. I have a few things to do out in the beautiful sun. Put my feet in the soil, grab a little bite to eat, and meditate on what we're going to speak on next. Know that I love you very much. I'm glad you're here with me. This keeps me going. I'm never going to stop. Tonight we have Doctor of the Day at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have to make the link. The link is not created yet, but you can rest assured we're going to have that show. And I have a few more before and after, because today we're going to get down. Much love to you all. Have a wonderful day. I know it's early, but stay centered and stay aware.